Stugotz here. The Dan Le Batard Show podcast is brought to you by Capital One. Capital One wants to build a better bank, one that feels and acts nothing like a typical bank. It's why they're reimagining banking by offering accounts with no fees or minimums and one of the best saving rates in America. You could open a Capital One account from anywhere in 5 minutes. That's banking reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Capital One, N.A.
This is the best of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Billy, get that list together of baseball players making more money than Odell Beckham. It's a funny list. We've got 3 Sueys to get to today. Best story told on the show in the last year, best limited fake, and best mispronunciation. These categories have all been loaded. And speaking of loaded, Isner.
Oh. 5-setter. No problem. He advances, and he'll play another 5-setter tomorrow, and he's doing so in 110-degree heat. I mean, just amazing. 7-6 in the fourth. He's down 2-1, and then wins the 5th set and did something I never thought I'd see Isner do. He broke someone's serve. How about that, Mike? He broke someone's serve.
I don't believe it. He's just out there. It's like the machine that spits balls at you returning a serve. It's just all he is this windmill of serves. He just spends the whole game shooting rockets at your face. And he will do it all day. He'll do it all week. He'll do it all month. And if someone makes him, he'll do it all year.
3 hours and 40 minutes light work for John Isner. Barely started sweating.
Barely broke a sweat.
But isn't that what baseball has become, basically? Is guys throwing 1,000,000 miles an hour, guys trying to hit it 1,000,000 feet. It's just all Isner, and I'm here for it. Everyone be Isner. He's just rocket launching serves and then standing there staring at you.
Yeah, he should concede games, Mike. Like, hey, you don't need to serve. I'll give you the game. I'm just going to keep serving.
Conserve his energy. Conserve it.
Do you think that Isner, when a serve of his is returned, that he just stands there and it's as if a spaceship had landed at his feet? It's like, what the bleep is this? I serve, it stays over there.
I mean, if someone does, it ends up being a 3-day match. He literally says it's going to be a long day as soon as someone just puts a racket to it.
How tall is he? Because this is like the physics of the game. The stuff we've been talking about in baseball where the pitchers are so precise that they're hitting the corners, the corners by the knees.
He's 6'10".
Yeah. I mean,
remember that 6.5-hour match he had with Anderson at Wimbledon? 6'10" versus 6'8".
No, but that's the sport where, hey, wait a minute. If I'm serving it from way up here, what are you going to do other than get it lodged in one of your nostrils?
I mean, that sport is so crazy to me in terms of shape people have to be in. Have you seen Novak Djokovic lately? Dude looks emaciated.
Right.
Emaciated. Have a burger. I'm worried about you, Novak. I'm serious. But Anderson at 6'8" and Isner at 6'10", they're expending so much energy just on serves alone and carrying their own weight. Playing for close to 7 hours? Kidding me?
But I think Isner has figured it out where he's like, hey, I don't have to be in that good a shape. I'm just going to serve. Like, this is going to come down to 5th set tiebreaker.
Right,
Either I'm going to win or I'm going to go home.
All I got to do is make sure to get to the 4th hour. If I'm there, if I'm standing, I will just send my rocket launcher your way, and what are you going to do other than eat it?
Let's get to deuce in the 5th set tiebreaker. And my
right
goal,
where I want him.
I have save enough energy for me to actually rifle this serve through your body.
It's got to be terrible to watch, though. No, to watch that for 4 hours has to be awful. We love to watch it because we're just betting nothing but overs, entertainment purposes only.
Mike and I were saying the 5-setter against Anderson at Wimbledon, the one that Mike just brought, it was the worst 5-set match in the history of tennis.
It's awful.
It's the worst.
It's got to be excruciating to watch 4 hours if some guy just comes in with a bazooka. There, it's in. Let's go to replay. It hit the line. No one's got any chance of returning it because it was launched at 700 miles an hour from a satellite nearby because these guys are so tall.
It's such a terrible watch. I'd much rather, like on the clay court, Ferrer and Monfils just sliding around everywhere, diving, laying it all out there. And that doesn't last 6.5 hours. Just smashing does.
Did you see they've had... Look, man, I know a lot of you are tired with your isms making their way into sports, racism and sexism and everything else. But there have been a couple of reasons we've been talking tennis in the news sphere recently. One of them is some silly code violation. A woman took off her shirt to reveal a sports bra. She had put her shirt on backwards. She got a violation for it. Men are allowed, like, as far as sexism goes, the greater sexism, the more problematic sexism is that women aren't paid very well in that sport, especially compared to the Isners of the world.
Correct.
Which
right.
brings us to our Liam Neeson sound that we will get to in a moment. Many of you have wanted it for days. You don't understand why it's not in the Sueys. It is in the Sueys. It's just not in any of the categories that you think it's in. But the other controversy was the Serena Williams controversy. And these repressions and this prudishness that is around this woman, where she wants to wear a catsuit and they say no catsuit. Because the French are repressed in this regard? Like, she's covering her body. It's not her fault that her body looks like that and it makes you uncomfortable because you're prude and repressed. She's covering her body. It's not even something that she's doing that is in any way offensive to anybody.
Not at all. It seems absurd that we would still be doing this in 2018. It really does.
Think about that for a second. And she doesn't care. She's fine with it. She's like, okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. But the Williams sisters they've been uncommonly graceful throughout their life. When the isms are brought their way, they don't always throw lighter fluid on it. What they could, like if Serena Williams starts complaining about wanting to wear a catsuit right now, if Serena Williams were to go out there and dare them to start punishing her for wearing a catsuit because she's violated the French Open rules, if that's how she decided to protest it, it would become one of those causes that goes right outside of sports. And it becomes one of those conversations about, is it okay for largely men to decide how women dress? What's acceptable dress to us and our sensibility?
Important conversation, man. I'm glad we're having it.
Mike, go ahead and play the Liam Neeson sound because he really believes in women's rights right up until he doesn't.
So would you take a pay cut to kind of equal things out?
No. Pay cut? No. That's gone too far.
I need the long one.
Yeah.
I need the one that sets the whole thing up. The one that
he
everyone
really doesn't
loves.
want to play it because of the Suey. He just Mike is fighting you.
You're giving away Best Picture here when it's not time for Best Picture. I mean, very particular. These are the Sueys, man.
Wait a minute. Yesterday I was listening to the show and an entire rejoin played a story before the Suey.
And that was dealt with internally, Dan.
Someone got in trouble, Dan.
One of the best sounds in the history of this show was not in the best sound category. And I don't think it's even up for dispute. I believe that this Liam Neeson sound is the single greatest sound in the entire show's history. That's what I believe. And it wasn't even in that category.
The sound courtesy of the AP? You're talking about that sound? The dismissal? That's nominated?
I'm talking about the whole thing where he's arguing on behalf of women's rights, equal pay, and how important he thinks it is. And then there's the pivot, the abrupt pivot where he becomes an action hero and explains, well, I don't care about this as much as you want me to care about it.
No.
You're simply not going to play the whole thing.
What an interesting tension here because Dan he wants it. Mike doesn't want to give it to him. I'm sitting here like I'm watching Isner right now. It's a tennis match going back and forth.
No.
You're simply not going to give it to me.
No.
He needs it, though.
You don't think the people want it.
No.
You're going to continue to ruin your entire radio career by doing this defiantly in open space.
No.
Settles that.
Dan Le Batard.
I know what you like, and I give it to you to make you a junkie so that you're listening and you can't help yourself on the stuff that I got to force feed you. But I know what you like. And I'll give it to you sparingly just to get you addicted.
Stugotz.
You'll stay right there addicted. And every once in a while, I'll give you smack that you don't like, but that you need. It's medicine you need. It's the whole formula. We know what you like. It's why you're addicted, even though you hate that part of the show.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We do a proudly weird show, so Richard Marks will join us in an hour and 15 minutes, and Dennis Quaid will join us at noon Eastern. Richard Marks in a little over an hour, and Dennis Quaid in about 15 minutes. We're going to have a Suey category, one of the big ones, right, Mike? Like this is one of your favorites?
This is something that's synonymous with our show. Best, limited, fake, and not so limited.
Okay, so best limited fake is coming up. We haven't had a lot of luck, I didn't feel like, with the limited fakes around here over the course of the last year. I feel like it's been a pretty consistent failure. We open up the phones to America, they come back, and we are squeezing water from a stone.
Oh, it was a very light year from the listeners. However, the shipping container and cast and crew of the Dan Le Batard show came strong over the last year.
With the limited fakes. Okay, so we'll get to that in about 15 minutes. How's the Mina Kimes article on Jalen Ramsey? I wonder if she's punching herself in the face because GQ got some good quotes from him a little bit early. And so I don't know what the quotes were like, but Jalen Ramsey, we've got to think of him. He's the most outspoken guy right now in his sport, correct?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's Jalen Ramsey.
He's the most colorful, loudmouth personality in the entire sport.
Michael Bennett is pretty outspoken.
Wow, like this, though? Michael Bennett is more social causes. Michael Bennett's not going to say this quarterback stinks.
No, I'm just talking about, like, putting himself out there. Social causes, it's absolutely Bennett, but if he's also still putting it out there in terms of outspoken, but in terms of, like, your classic 90s smack-talking corner, Jalen Ramsey brought that
He's
back.
from another time, man. Where are the excerpts on the Mina Kimes story? Because I know when she was working on it around here, she was just sort of shaking her head. I can't believe the way this dude talks. I can't believe the things that he says, that he's willing to say publicly because he gives exactly zero bleeps, which is going to get him in trouble with general unbecoming behavior for a Jaguar. Coughlin, I can't. Like, that needs to blow up in all Coughlin. It needs to blow up in our faces in a way that's wonderful. Because, Jalen Ramsey's better at what he does than Tom Coughlin is at what he does. Hard as that is to say. Jalen Ramsey is Hall of Fame special.
A.J. Green. Remember when Cortland Finnegan and Andre Johnson got into a fight? Oh, yeah. And Andre Johnson was, known as a professional, a quiet guy.
Never would say anything bad, never had a public controversy with his words.
No. And when he got into a fist fight with Cortland Finnegan on the field, you knew Cortland Finnegan must be really good at annoying people. And we've never seen A.J. Green do any real talking on the field. Carries himself a lot like Andre Johnson did, and Jalen Ramsey got to him.
Well, this is just a new thing, though. The idea in that sport of somebody being so great and knowing it and telling you it, that is not something you see in the violence business that often when it's football. You see it in boxing, but you do not see a guy who comes forth and is willing to say, Joe Flacco sucks, Eli Manning's overrated.
When talking to Mina about the A.J. Green incident, Jalen said what he told A.J. Green. And what he told him was, I called him soft, called him a punk, talked to him, said whatever I wanted to. I did whatever I wanted to. He snorts. Receivers are like naturally soft. So sensitive.
I love this guy.
More, right? More. Like, Jacksonville's not going to get into our face and into our conversation with the quarterback. Like, this team is led by defense, should have beaten the Patriots. If they had a competent quarterback, they would have.
Actually, the quarterback was the conversation last year, wasn't he?
I know, but he shouldn't be. The quarterback's competence is in question.
I don't think Gronk's good. Another quote from this Mina Kimes story. I don't think Gronk's good, and Mina reacted the way that most people would react, just taken aback by it, and then he corrected himself. Let me just say, I don't think Gronk is as great as people think.
But you know what, though? Some of his assessments, I'm wondering how it is that I'm getting snowed by Jalen Ramsey, because the advanced metrics tell you now how good people are in that sport. The Football Insiders, all of that stuff. There are ways of doing the measurements that we've never had before. And Jalen Ramsey is exceptional, but his viewpoints line up with my viewpoints, which is that Matt Ryan was a system MVP. That he's with Julio Jones. That you've heard me say that what I think of Matt Stafford as everyone yells at me.
Right.
Like and I'm not saying his opinions are right. I don't think they're informed by the data. I think they're informed by he's just a loudmouth.
You're just saying they're the same as yours?
Right, but he's doing it. Is he doing it with his eyes the same way I am? Like, is he doing it? A lot of people wonder how Gronk.
Well, he also played against him. That helps.
But Gronk is leaps and bounds better than anyone else in the history of his position. To say he's not that good and to say he's a system tight end is not something a lot of people are saying.
Jalen Ramsey on Danny Amendola. This is not from Mina's article. He's just got a brand new contract, and he is terrible. Jalen Ramsey said, people think he's so great. He's not. Tom Brady made him look good. Tom could take me as a receiver, and I'd be a first-team Pro Bowler.
Mike, how great is it? The week build-up of him versus Odell Beckham Jr., week one. We said this about Josh Norman at the time. If you put that on,
delivered.
Yeah, if you put that on pay-per-view, and I just got to watch on a screen Jalen Ramsey and Odell Beckham Jr. the entire time, and you asked me to pay for it, I would pay for it.
This show ain't free. Time for some ads.
And then expensive.
You're also completely just the weirdest because, Mike Ryan, I'm not kidding you. This is something that happened, that he was just spitting at his computer. Chris Carter. Hey, Chris Carter, you held on 2 years too long, and now you're telling Adrian Peterson to retire? Please. And then he looks at himself, looks at maybe his reflection in the computer, and just shakes his head and says, why do I care? Why do I care?
I shouldn't.
Chris Carter, he was just yelling at Chris Carter.
2 years too long, though, for CC.
Don Batard.
Stugotz listens very poorly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure he was listening right there.
I wasn't.
Stugotz.
He makes sounds like that to disguise when he's not listening. He's got an assortment of weaponry in the case for sounds. He's making them all right now. All the sounds that he makes when he's not listening.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Texter writes in, yes, Dan, Jalen Ramsey's personality is very new, except for the 1970s Raiders and Dion.
Is that guy?
Time now to celebrate the limited fakes. You're there for us, guy. Yeah, somebody, a team and a person had personality before Jalen Ramsey. Congratulations. That was a very important text to send via satellite to our radio show. Let's do best limited fakes.
And now the Suey nominees for best limited fake. Mike Ryan's fake Andrew Luck.
Oh, it's not something I want to do, but absolutely it'll save your life. I'll rappel down this cave. I'll neutralize the threat. I'll secure the perimeter. I'll call 911 on my flip phone and Jack Doyle.
Billy Gill's fake Aziz Ansari.
I love DJ Khaled. He's so dope. Fire emoji, fireworks, flames, boom. We probably shouldn't have broke 10 minutes early last segment. Really threw off the clocks here. Now we have to fill for another 15 minutes.
Fake Miami Heat reporter Jason Jackson.
7-item ticket talking about that. Dan Le Batard and Stugotz talking to you, Joel. Been injured so often they should call you Joel Webb, MD. 7-item ticket listeners, now's your chance to rub elbows with the Miami Heat. Dan and Stu. Join us at South Beach for the first annual Kelly Olynyk paddleboard clinic. Single moms wearing thongs get 25% off. That's it for me. I'm a fake Jason Jackson, Double J, or just J Jackson if you're nasty. Back to you, Eric and Kelly.
Mike Ryan's fake Adam Schefter.
According to my sources, it's a white pad receptions. The coach's name is Chris Forrester. He went to Colorado State. He just resigned. Certainly a sticky situation for that staff surrounding Adam Gase.
Bomani Jones's fake Ricky Henderson.
Hey, this is Ricky. On behalf of Ricky.
Dan's fake Charles Barkley.
Dan's ridiculous. Idiot.
Roy Bellamy's fake Charles Barkley.
Ernie, Dan Le Batard is an idiot. That's terrible.
Chris Cody's fake Charles Barkley.
Tell your fat daddy I hate him.
Billy Gill's fake Elon Musk.
Billy, it's the worst thing you do.
What? What's the worst thing I do?
You're Elon Musk.
Oh, that's Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I find it quite delightful. I'm Elon Musk.
Stugotz's fake Christopher Walken.
Do your Christopher Walken. End the show on your Christopher Walken.
I don't have one, Dan.
Poppy's fake Eric Spoelstra.
Well, we didn't play to our identity. We got a little bit slack on the offensive end, but that will be no problem because now we're going to look at the video. We're going to study it. We're going to discuss it among ourselves, and we're going to move on.
Mike Ryan's fake Mel Kiper Jr. diva big board.
Number 5 on my board is Rihanna. This powerhouse burst on the scene in 2005 with Ponder Replay. Was definitely yelling, "Come, Mr. DJ." Turn the music up ever since. Packing some serious hardware with 193 awards. We're talking Grammy, VMA, Billboard, BET, Doak Walker, Teen Choice. You can definitely consider me a member of the Riri Navy. Number 4 on my diva big board is a legendary Kim Carnes. Now, a little bit longer in the tooth at 72 years old, but this 2-time Grammy winner definitely has all the intangibles. You talk about a Betty Davis eyes, a sneaky commercial hit that stays with you just like her distinct raspy voice.
Number three
on my list is Alicia Keys. This girl is on fire.
Number two,
definitely on my diva big board is Whitney Houston. Definitely been going back and forth on this one throughout the process. Dan certainly has all the tools. You talk about an I Will Always Love You, arguably the greatest ballad of all time, but ultimately I couldn't escape the off-the-field concerns. Hanging around with a shady group. Dan, this has a lot of team executives a little nervous, a little gun-shy to pull the trigger on Whitney Houston.
He's dead!
That would be an off-the-field concern, Dan.
Number 1, ranking of divas, Mel Kiper's greatest diva in the history of divaness.
Number 1, Beyonce Knowles, 5'7", 137 pounds, extremely confident in her abilities, powerful voice, incredible agility, has proven she can be part of a team, but also go out on her own and win you a game. Astonishing lower body strength, too. She could probably squat a cement truck, Dano. Consider me a loud and proud member of the Beehive. She's overcome a lot of adversity, weak teammates, lack of roster continuity, pregnancies, Becky with the good hair, displayed incredible resiliency. There's a reason she's bae.
Allison's fake Cardi B.
No.
Stugotz's fake Kirk Douglas.
What's the big to do about Weinstein? That's the way Hollywood's always been, and it's the way it's always going to be.
Mike Ryan's fake Rick Pitino as a vampire.
Our administrators were in compliance.
Stugotz's fake Marty Smith.
That Southern charm. He's got that Southern charm, man, and it really helps him out.
What a gift, though, man.
Yeah.
What a gift.
You know Beaker, right?
Well, that's the thing.
You know Jonathan Wiley, super producer.
Wait a minute. Have I told you?
He's going to go off a piss.
Wait a minute. What was that?
I don't know.
What were you doing?
Is that your...
My fake Marty.
I mean,
he's going to go out for a piss.
What is that? Is awful.
On the White House lawn.
I mean, you have to get in on everything. You have to get in on everything.
That's the POTUS up in there.
A listener's fake Marty Smith.
Hey, Benno! It's Marty Party! What are you guys doing? Hey, Stu!
Hey, Marty!
Yeah. Hey, guys, hey, I just parachuted out of a plane, man, and in Tuscaloosa. Tuscaloosa just got down here. I'm with Nick Saban, man.
Yeah,
we're about to go bass fishing on some jet skis.
Adnan Verk's fake Michael Caine.
If you want to talk like Michael Caine, you must only say a few words.
Amin El Hassan's fake DMX.
You know, Dan Le Batard. Man, I like this show. Because you know when the dog likes to play Fortnite, the dog gonna get it.
Chris Cody's fake DJ Khaled.
And now, another one of these SportsCenter updates. Joel Embiid will not play in Game 1 against the Miami Heat. I like that. Mike Wallace will have a chance to earn $585,000 if he weighs less than 250 pounds at Eagles camp. He currently weighs 200 pounds. Chef D, what's for breakfast? And finally, a fun trip to the beach took an odd turn for an 11-year-old boy in Southern California. Crazy story alert. The boy suffered what appeared to be a minor injury after scuffing his elbow on a rock and causing a blister. The blister kept getting worse and the boy got it checked out. The blister was actually a snail living under his skin. I told you, crazy story alert.
Thank you, DJ Khaled.
Looking great at your special event or wedding has never been easier than with the blacktux.com. They're loyal.
Stugotz's fake Mavis Staples commercial.
I love my friends over at Mavis Staples. I know what you're saying. They're staples. Like, how could their staples be better than any other staples? But I'm telling you, they are. They will hold more paper together than any other staples out there. I am telling you, I've used them, guys. I have them in my house. My kids use them. In fact, I like them so much, I got my kids' private school to use nothing but Mavis Staples. They have an exclusive deal. They are fantastic. And like Dan said, you got to support the people that support the show. And that's what Mavis Staples has been doing forever. So if you're interested, I can get you 15% off right now. All you have to do is go to MavisStaples.com, promo code Dan. That is MavisStaples.com, promo code Dan.
Chris Cody's fake Billy Zane in Titanic.
I have a child.
Mike Ryan's fake Pablo Torre.
Here's the thing.
Chris Cody's fake Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil was a middle linebacker for Tulsa.
That's not true.
Please tell me
that can't be true.
What are you doing? You're offsides.
I hope you have more left in your tank.
Is that all you've got? Is that all? Do you have anything left?
Now that's encroachment. Are there any other football terms?
He needs funny phrases. Somebody give him funny phrases. Bail him out.
I love a good squib kick.
Squib kick is an excellent phrase. Squib kick. Do you have anything else in your arsenal?
Also love a good pooch punt.
Yeah, pooch is good. Yes. What else do you have in your comedic word arsenal? Is there anything else to squeeze from this?
Sit hut, flea flicker.
Fake Howard Cosell.
You, the man with the protruding punch of a Randall Tex Cobb, have no athletic dexterity whatsoever. And you, beset with the right hand of a Jurgen Blind, possess no stamina to continue. Therefore, this fight is stop post haste.
Mike and Chris's fake Mel Kiper and fake Stephen A. Smith Peppers battle.
I just want a rap battle between the two. Gather around, all of you with your cameras and stuff. Let's videotape this for eternity and for the internet.
Peppers.
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 Jabril Peppers, linebacker out of Michigan. I see him more as a safety. Bit of a tweener, great feet. Ball skills, a bit of a question. I am high, though, on Jabril Peppers.
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 I think Stephen A's winning, man.
Yeah.
You better
Peppers.
pull some Julius Peppers out of your... You better pull some Julius...
Don't ruin the joke.
Peppers.
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 Julius Peppers, pass rusher out of North Carolina. Bit of a basketball player, great athlete. I envision this guy as one of the best premier pass rushers in the NFL.
Stuffed Peppers.
Whoa.
Oh! It has escalated! What you got for the GOAT, fake Mel Kiper Jr.?
Pepper?
Oh, he's shook.
Rattled
He's
pepper.
shook. Victories.
Habanero pepper.
Oh!
Chris Cody and Billy Gill's fake Derek Jeter and Bryant Gumbel.
I'll be playing the role of Bryant Gumbel, and Chris will be Derek Jeter.
Okay.
Tanking is not trying your hardest to win ball games in every day.
We're trying to win ball games every day.
If you trade your best players in exchange for prospects, it's unlikely you're going to win more games in the immediate future.
When you take the field, you have an opportunity to win each and every day. I repeat, each and every day. You never tell your team that you're not expected to win. Never.
Not in so.
What?
Now you think, now. I can't tell you how to think. Like, I see your mind. I see how you think. I don't like that. That's your mind working like that.
No, I get that, but I guess not in so many words.
But you don't.
I
get
do.
it.
You don't.
We have two different minds. I can't wait to get you on the golf course, man. I mean, I cannot wait for this one.
No, I mean,
you're mentally weak.
No, I just am. I am realistic. You really expect this team?
I expect this team to.
As presently configured to contend.
Compete. To compete.
Compete is one thing.
Every single.
Watch my lips. Not compete.
I see your.
Contend.
I see your lips. I've been seeing them the whole interview. I see your lips moving constantly. You'd never tell your players that you expect to lose. You don't do that. You should take that as a slap in the face as a player. You should take that as a slap in the face.
You expect them to contend?
I do. If I don't believe with the players, who's going to believe in them if I don't?
But as an executive, it looks like you're delusional. Well, if you'll believe otherwise.
Well, call me delusional then.
Wow. Strong.
Splash.
Strong category.
Cash more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
I'm a squeaky toy, and I've got one job, getting chomped on by this little ankle sniffer. So pardon me for feeling inept compared to Geico, who does so much more. Like while I'm getting slobbered on, Geico is creating cool technology like their mobile app, which lets people pay their bills or file a claim. Plus, Geico is the fastest growing auto insurer for the last 10 years. Is it too much for me to ask for one more feature? Fast and friendly claim service like Geico, maybe? Oh, great. I'm getting buried again.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
This is the earliest that the Williams sisters have met in 2 decades. So you're seeing that correctly. Guillermo, help me out here because I'm mad at the audience again. This is unbelievable. I mean, this is the biggest sports radio show in America. We open up the phone lines very rarely. We only do it to involve you guys and so that you can be in on the fun calling. And you're just consistently horrific. The worst punishment we can give Chris Cote, and honestly, I don't blame him if he quits, is answering call after call of how not funny you are, how not good you are at calling a radio show and being entertaining. All of you who think you can do this better than us, you're just consistently terrible. So what ends up happening is we've got one call from the World Wide Web, the international biggest sports radio show in the world, asking for, give me a limited fake Andrew Luck. And Chris is taking call after call and hanging up on people and hanging up on people and wants to like just cut his own jugular because of how not funny you are. So all we want is a good fake Andrew Luck. And we've got one call we've got on the entire, like this is the worldwide bleeping leader in sports. We opened it up to America. Biggest damn sports radio show in the world. Pioneers, trendsetters with a contract that's taking us into the sky. Fake Sean Connery, you're on ESPN Radio.
Oh, it's a lot of pressure, Dan, but I'm so glad you're a fan of Stugotz. Thank you for having me on.
Chris, what's your life been like for the last 10 minutes?
That's the cream of the crop right there, man.
What has your life been like for the last 10 minutes? Why can't we open the phones up to this dumb country and get a phone call that's funny?
I think I answered probably 38 calls of some guy just saying, "Oh, Jack Doyle." But what I just did was a lot better than what they actually did.
Is everyone listening to us an unfunny idiot?
Yes.
That every time we open up the phones, you make us regret it.
You're putting a lot of pressure on him. I mean, you're telling him to do Andrew Luck. Mike has already set the bar so high.
It started because some guy wrote in, I'll say it again, I could do a better Andrew Luck than Mike, and none of you can. Because we keep challenging you, and what shows up? Fake Sean Connery shows up.
But no one else challenged Mike except that one guy, and you're taking it out on America.
Because, people consistently, every time the Andrew Luck makes an appearance, consistently people are saying, I could do that better. But it's what you do with our general radio show. I could do it better than these guys. Then we open up the phone lines, and you give us a sentence of turd.
Happy June.
It's infuriating. Guillermo, I'm going to try this again. 786-456-4837. Yes. Fake Sean Connerys are welcome.
Oh, wow. You've given them another option.
Fake Andrew Lucks are welcome. Fake Christopher Walkens are welcome.
My watch.
Those are the only three categories that are open, but in the interim, we're going to spruce it up because we can't just do this nonsense where we're doing fake Sean Connerys and then interviewing Richard Marks at 11:30 and then interviewing Dennis Quaid at noon. So in the interim, Billy, I just want you to give me baseball names presently making more than Odell Beckham. I want to make some music and spin some plates here. I'm going to go through calls to get some fakes. And I'm going to regret it, and I'm going to yell at the audience, and I'm going to call them stupid, and just you pipe in every once in a while with baseball players. Is it more guaranteed money than Odell Beckham, or is it just more money than Odell Beckham?
So Odell Beckham signed a 5-year, $95 million contract, but only $65 is guaranteed, so it's a $65 million contract. So we started looking to see who in baseball makes $65 million for 5 years. And we found one person with that exact contract, and then we just started going wild with people making more than that.
All right, so let's do this as poor Chris suffers the next 5 minutes of his life. Because, Chris, just let him all through, so that people can hear how. But don't even screen him, just so that people can see how dumb America is. Just let's let it fly and just let it go so people can see how unfunny the callers to sports radio are. And it's just throughout the land. It's throughout the industry. You're not good at this. You call in, you think you can do the show better than television does it or better than radio does it. You can do anything better than ESPN does it, and you can't. And you consistently prove it every damn time we open up the phone lines.
Danny Duffy.
No.
Yep.
No. No. You're going to start there? You're not going to do better than that.
5 years, $65 million. The exact same contract.
8-11, 4.72 ERA.
No.
Just under that, Mark Melancon. 4 years, 62, but it's more per year.
You just did better.
Fake Andrew Luck, you're on ESPN Radio. Go ahead, fake Andrew Luck. All right, there it is. Just perfect. Just perfect.
It's actually better than most of the ones we've gotten.
Perfect. Like, you're incompetent, people. Honestly, you don't deserve our radio show being this good every day because you're so bad. Fake Sean Connery, you're on ESPN Radio.
Yes, it's Sean Connery. I'm looking for the Red October.
Russell Martin.
No!
He's still playing?
No!
5 years, $82 million.
Is he the catcher for the Pirates, or where else is he? Dodgers? Where is he now?
I saw him playing third base for the Jays, I think.
No,
Get out of
that's
here.
right. He's been with the Blue Jays for the last couple of years. Third base.
How much money?
Shocking.
Wait a minute.
There was a lot to throw at me in one.
Russell Martin took... Did you even recognize him without the catcher's gear?
Well, I thought there was just a different player called Russell Martin, and then the camera shot over to him, and I'm like, no, it's that same Russell Martin.
He's batting 197.
Big Game James Shield.
No! That guy has had a spaghetti arm for 6 seasons.
4 years, $75
No,
million.
that can't be right. Big Game James, who's never won a big game.
I think he's actually having a bounce back year.
He is.
Fake Christopher Walken, you're on ESPN Radio.
Hello, Dan. I'm sorry you had to hear my crappy Sean Connery impression. I know it was terrible. I'm trying to help the show out. Sorry.
Fake Andrew Luck, you're on ESPN Radio.
Hank the Cowdog, an absolute classic.
James Shields is 5-15.
Fake Andrew Luck, bounce back season. Fake Andrew Luck, you're on ESPN Radio.
Right back at it. Hey, Dad. Hey, how's it going? Hey, happy June, even though we're in August. Whoa. So, I'm here rehabilitating, and I don't really feel quite well. Can't really throw a tennis ball at the moment. I'm trying to figure out really what I can throw, but I'm really not feeling too well.
This is my life.
Fake Christopher Walken, you're on ESPN Radio. Go ahead, Fake Christopher Walken.
All right. I'm going to throw a soldering iron like a Kurt Schilling pitch right at your noggin. Do me a favor, please. Wait. Well, hello?
Unfortunately, you're still on, Ray Romano.
Mike Leake, 5 year, $80 million.
No!
He's solid.
Oh, God.
For the Reds?
No, he's with the Mariners.
No, he's with the... Oh, that's right. The Mariners are actually good.
I know baseball. Except for that old James
He's another
Shields.
one of those guys who throws 100 miles an hour. And doesn't he have 2 no-hitters?
He does. He's 8-8 with a 4.03 ERA.
Solid.
Yep.
Yeah, Mike Leake has multiple no hitters.
Are you guys thinking of Homer Bailey?
Oh,
fine.
Yeah, hard throwing Reds pitcher. Fake Sean Connery, you're on ESPN Radio.
I just wanted you to hear my horrible...
All right, that's enough. Fake Kermit the Frog, you're on ESPN Radio.
Hello, Dan. It's your buddy Kermit the Frog here again, calling into the Levitard show. The Stugotz is in me.
See? Like, once again, I prove it. Country of idiots.
I mean, Shields has lowered that ERA to 4.5.
Oh, bounce back.
Bounce back.
Bounce back 5-15 is put it on the poll, Guillermo. Is 5-15 a bounce back season for Big Game James Shields?
Homer Bailey, 6 year, $105 million.
Ponte los patines. Time for some ads.
I mean, football players have to be furious.
Put it on the poll as well. Do you confuse Leake and Bailey? Because they're both just these hard-throwing right-handed Reds pitchers, and nobody's paid attention to Reds baseball, not even Votto for 10 years.
Did you put the Russell Martin question on the poll? Because it's a great question, because I do not recognize him without the catch.
Did you? All right, put that on the poll. Would you recognize Russell Martin without the catcher's equipment? And also, did you know that Russell Martin was playing third base for the Jays? I mean, it's shocking. It's one of the most shocking things ever said on this show. Why is Russell Martin playing third base, hitting under 200 for the Jays?
He started a game at shortstop once.
No!
Get out of here.
The Jays aren't there, just bleeping around.
Eric Hauser's making $144 million.
Don Batard.
There was a play at home plate, and this 10-year-old was rounding third and going home, and I got the ball right before she, okay?
Oh, no.
I threw the ball at her so hard.
From where?
But I got her out.
From where? Where were you throwing the ball from?
About 2 feet away. I take my kickball seriously, man.
Stugotz.
But it was just reactionary, Dan. I caught the ball. There was a play at the plate. I threw it at her.
Stugotz, do you...
And you probably put up 2 fingers up.
Yeah, two down. We got two down.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So Stugotz is arguing with his computer and his text machine. So go ahead, Stugotz. You do the honors.
It's because Josh Donaldson is injured, you schmucks.
Is that guy?
Thank you, overzealous Blue Jays fan. We're the show for you.
I mean, we're just having fun with Russell Martin.
Listen, overzealous Blue Jays fan. All right? You could rush to the defense of your nowhere loser team all you like. Russell Martin's playing third base for you. I don't care why it is. I don't care what the exchange rate is. I don't care what your politics are. Russell Martin is playing third base for you. You go ahead and just eat that and don't be the guy who writes in about Josh Donaldson.
Homer Bailey is 1-12 this season.
He's making more than Odell Beckham. Homer Bailey is 1-12.
He is 1-12 with a 6.17 ERA.
Making more than Odell Beckham.
Killed to have James Shields this season.
He's sitting here looking at James Shields and saying that is a bounce back. 5-15. Big James is a monster.
ERA in the 4s. I mean.
So a texter writes in, please replay all of Stugotz's 2016 mispronunciations. No, we will not, but Stugotz had a good year, and by a good year, we mean it's a bad year. Stugotz did not have a terrible mispronunciation year, so this will probably be the shortest Suey category we've had this year.
Well, it's the shortest in length, but we just got to the pure cut. This is pure Bolivian right here.
Really? We're just going to snort this? We are going to snort Stugotz. This is in blow when we're getting into the 170s, 180s, 190s with Bobcat Goldthwait. Yeah? All right. This is the pure undistilled. All right. This is it. This is the undistilled stuff. Everybody. All right. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Hold on. Look. America, you're not funny. You called the phone lines and you were terrible, and it's embarrassing that you can't do sports radio. So we have something, though, here for you to soothe you, a little comfort candy. Let's snort it in your nose. Let's line up like Scarface, and let's snort Stugotz mispronunciations. This is the good stuff. Snort it.
And now the Suey nominees for Best Stugotz Mispronunciation. Pretty Stunning. Bourbon. Staubach and Bradshaw.
Starbuck and Bradshaw.
Relinquish. Silence. Launched. Or again. Finally. Clear. For. SWAT team.
That is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks.
Well, I'd like to play that again. I'd like another line, please.
And now the Suey nominees for Best Stugotz Mispronunciation. Pretty Stunning. Bourbon. Staubach and Bradshaw.
Starbuck and Bradshaw.
Relinquish.
Silence.
Silence. Launched. Or again. Finally. Clear. For. SWAT team.
What is the best one of those ever?
It's or. I mean, or.
No, but ever in the history of your mispronunciation.
Oh, tight ends coach.
Is that better than foot fault? I don't know if it's better than foot fault. Just get together as much as you can. The holy grail of Stugotz Mispronunciations is the song "What Does the Got Say?" It involves Stan Van Gundy, Bill Polian coughing.
Yeah.
Stan Van Gundy yawning, Pat Sajak shouting the word yarn for some reason, and it is the holy grail of Stugotz Mispronunciations, which are the bedrock for everything upon which this radio show is built. And if you have not heard What Does the Fox Say, What Does the Got Say is better.
Dan goes, Bo goes, Tim goes, and Pat goes, Poppy goes, Dan goes, and the Van Gundy goes, Lance says, and Bill goes, and McGill goes, but there's one sound that no one knows. What does the God say?
Era Bangly Cinema Community Mirror Roger Tug Human Company Unparalleled.
What the God say?
Miami Creative Stubborn Open Apple Turbo having reacted of huts
What the God say?
Bakes it whole carving couple recovery elderly digestion remaining risks.
What the God say?
Value bread Nudamacon Numaka hard-boiled.
What does the God say?
Sideline. Visit the Tony rationalization brain. Communication. How long ago?
What the God say?
Sophistication. Suffering. Stadium. Reclamation. Humongous. Friend, family.
What the God say?
The man wants more money.
Let me hear tight ends, Coach, at your leisure. I just want to hear Stugotz. Mardi Gras foot fault. What if we had one Hall of Famer? We can only pick one Hall of Famer of Stugotz Mispronunciations. That's tight end, Coach.
Yep.
That was him trying to say tight ends, Coach. Doesn't really finish thoughts. Doesn't really finish anything.
Dan Batard.
Yo. Chicken time.
Stugotz.
Mardi Gras.
This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
The last time we talked to this dude, he was disarming somebody with a rope on a Korean air flight. And that's like not the most interesting thing about him, but it's just what we happen to be talking about. He's sold more than 30 million albums. He's a 5-time Grammy nominee. He's a 1-time Grammy winner. He's a songwriter. He's a producer. He's done just about everything there is to do in music over a very successful career. So Richard Marx with us now. If you want tickets, upcoming tour dates, visit richardmarx.com. Thank you again for making time for us. Is it true that you were discovered by Lionel Richie? Richard, were you discovered by him?
I was. How you doing, guys? Yeah, I mean, I would say that that's pretty accurate. I was in my senior year of high school. I was living in Chicago, and I'd been writing songs for a couple of years and sending demo tapes out, left and right to no avail. And it was a fluke situation where this guy that I had gone to high school with, he was a year or two older than me. He was now in college, and his roommate knew a guy who knew Lionel Richie. And somehow or another, my demo tape floated from my friend to his roommate to the friend to the guy to the guy to the guy. And one afternoon, my phone rings, and I go, hello? Yeah, is this Richard? Yeah. Hey, this is Lionel Richie.
Whoa.
Hello.
Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. Hello. And the dude, I mean, think about this. This was in 1981 when he was, arguably, certainly in the top 3 most successful people in the music business. And he took the time he sees, I'd written my phone number, in pen on the back of the cassette tape that he heard. And he actually called that number just simply to say, hey, man, I heard these songs, and I really like your songwriting, and your voice is great, and, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. It's my senior year of high school. He said, well, you should move to L.A. And he talked to me for 20 minutes, and he was just encouraging and gracious. And then a year later, I went out to L.A. to kind of check it out, and he was making his first solo record, and he invited me to the studio, and he had me sing background vocals on his record, and then he recommended me to Kenny Rogers, who was also, huge at the time, and I ended up writing songs for him and singing with him, and it really did kind of really launch certainly my career in the proper music business. It didn't really help me get a record deal per se, but I started to get work as a background singer, as a songwriter, and I owe it all to Mr. Ritchie.
What is the craziest that Richard Marx's life has been? Like, what is the period that you would look at? Because these are, the people you're talking about at the time. These are the legends, and you're mingling among them. So, like, what was the most fun, craziest time in Richard Marx's life as a guy who was getting the glory and success of music?
The craziest time was probably the first 7 years of the, roughly 10 years where I could do no wrong. Like from 1987, from my first from the first single, "Don't Mean Nothing," to about 10 years later, everything that we put out just kicked ass. And
14 of them, right?
Then,
was it 14? Was it 14 of them number ones? Was it 14 number ones?
I've written 14 number one songs, but that includes a few songs that I wrote for other people. But look, so I was, it was amazing, and the way I put it is that, and then after 10 years, I put out a record that instead of going double platinum, it went double plywood, and it was time to like regroup and rethink, and that's when I really started writing and producing other people and kind of changed,
But who's had a run like that? That's a heater, Marks. Like that. Like who's had a run?
No, it's great. It's great.
Crazy.
No, people have, but there was a period there, man, where it was just I was touring, I was doing 500 shows a year, and my whole life was just being on stage and having a blast and having underwear thrown on stage. I still get underwear thrown on stage, but now it depends.
Right.
And and it was just it was crazy. It was a really crazy time. And when you look back on it, I was really clean. I didn't do any drugs. I drank a little bit, but I was not a partier at all. I was very focused on delivering the best show every night and making the best records and writing the best songs I could. But it was a whirlwind treadmill, and there's no handbook to prepare you for. It really was like overnight. The minute MTV started playing the "Don't Mean Nothing" video, everything was different. And all of a sudden, going to the mall or being in a restaurant was just you were not discreet anymore. You were just like everybody kind of knew who you were, and it was it was heady times.
Well, I just tried
to keep my focus on the work and the music,
All right, but give us 30 seconds of the debauchery. Like the one time, okay, no drugs, very little drinking, but you
just decided, hey, I'm going to get hammered tonight.
Endless summer night. One endless summer night. Describe the details.
It was the end of the first big world tour, so it was like the summer of '88, and we finished, you can't make this up, the last show of the tour was in Hawaii. And I started drinking tequila the morning, of the gig. And I just thought, I didn't need to worry about the next night show because there wasn't going to be a next night show. I was going home. And I think I hit the stage at the Waikiki Shell, which is this big outdoor venue. I hit the stage hammered. And all I know is that what I remember was I had a great time, but I think every time I sat down at the piano, it was like I had boxing gloves on. I was just a mess.
Richard Marx with us again. For tickets and upcoming tour dates, you want to visit richardmarx.com. This is...
Oh.
Is that... Whose music is that? Oh, we've got a lovely surprise.
Is that Dave Coz?
For Richard Marx.
Is that Kenny G's
That
music?
is Kenny G's music. There is Kenny G to surprise Richard Marx. We are doing a banging show in the 90s.
Oh, that's awesome.
This is Celebrity Rap Battle 2. This time it's personal.
That's how we were introduced to Richard Marx, is when Kenny G got him on the phone to talk about that, that rope situation on Korea Air.
My brother, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. Kenny and I got a chance to hang out, 5 nights ago, something like that, at the corporate event. And we live 5 minutes away from each other in Malibu. And the next day I texted him and I said, this is so ridiculous because pretty much every day I run into people who I don't really like.
Wow.
And Kenny G, who's one of my favorite people in the world, I never see him.
Right. He's right down
He's right next door.
He's right. Have you guys ever performed together? Have you guys ever performed?
We did
the other night.
Not a proper gig. Yeah, but we played, but enough about our private life. We've never done a proper show though. We've only like Kenny has sat in with me on a couple of things, and I've gone and sort of done a song or two at some event that he's doing, but we really should do a proper.
Well, why don't we do it right now? Kenny, why don't you play that sax, and Richard, why don't you sing? Let's do it right now.
You are
guys.
demanding.
Yes.
They're not monkeys who perform for
I
you.
think they would like. I think they would like to do it for us in our audience. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Kenny, we're not trained.
This would not be.
We're not trained.
I'm saying
we don't have to
this
do what
would
they
not
say.
be considered a proper gig either.
Yeah, no, it would not. And you guys clearly have issues with timing. Thank you, Richard. Kenny, it's good talking to you. Don't be a stranger. Thanks for stopping through. We always enjoy when your dulcet tones are around here. You too, Mark.
Thanks, guys.
Dollar bills, y'all. Dollar bills, y'all.
We just alienated so much of the audience.
Oh, man. We just need to collect the Michael Bolton Infinity Stone, and we can rule the universe.
Valspar, that's $2.
Cash more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Cap Rooney is going to join us here. He's got a new film, Kin. It's in theaters tomorrow, and just based on that name, I want to see it. Dennis Quaid in Kin. Okay, I'm in.
I don't care what Dennis Quaid says. By the way, Cap Rooney was his finest moment. It was his finest role. It was his best job as an actor. I'm serious,
He's
Dan.
not going to agree with that.
He nailed that role.
He is not going to agree with that. Let's see if he'll agree with that. Dennis Quaid with us. New film. Again.
We're fighting.
Sorry about
we
that.
all just get along.
Yes. No, you got to take a side. You got to pick. Is Cap Rooney your greatest character? Yes or no?
He's one of my greatest characters.
Stugotz.
That's what he is. It was such a great time doing that movie. 3 different stadiums that we shot in. Oliver Stone directing. Jamie Foxx got to see him become a star, a movie star in that movie. It was an amazing experience.
What else is in that conversation, Dennis? Because I am telling you that was your finest moment. That was your finest role.
Well, when we were doing the film, we didn't start shooting until about 12. And so every morning at sunrise, there would be what I would call my dream foursome over at Doral Golf Club. It would be myself, Jimmy Woods, and then
Jimmy?
Jim Brown,
you call him Jimmy? You call him Jimmy? You call him Jimmy Woods?
Jimmy Woods. Jimmy Woods.
So awesome.
And then Jim Brown.
Oh.
The greatest offensive football player ever.
Jimmy.
And Lawrence Taylor, the greatest defensive
LT
football player ever.
Wow. How much fun were you guys having, Quaid? Because you told us you gave up cocaine in the 90s.
Well, this was 1996, I do believe. So I guess cocaine was gone by 1990, and I used, actually, the day I got out of rehab, that's when I started golf.
Wait, but Dennis, help me out here, because Lawrence Taylor, he plays at my course all the time. I've played with Lawrence Taylor before. I'll pick up that name in a minute, but I played with him before. Dennis, he cheats. Admit it right now. He cheats. He's a terrible cheater.
No. Lawrence does not cheat. There's no cheating with Lawrence. He gets out there and he wears 2 gloves. He would get out of the car in flip-flops and gym shorts, and the guy would shoot 6 over.
Yeah, but he would take 5 tee shots.
Are you really going to just keep talking golf with Dennis Quaid because you want to be older and older?
There's nothing more exciting than talking golf, right?
No, that's not true. Yes, he's interminable. Ken is in theaters tomorrow. I want
Kid is a great movie. It's about family. It's about alienation, and that the most important thing in the world is family. And it's a very it's not a your middle of the road story, and very, very interesting. I was hoping that they could have even a sequel to this, and it's a story that could really go someplace.
We want to go back to Any Given Sunday, though. Like, we want to go back to those stories. That's fine. Can I trade you? Can I trade you one Any Given Sunday question in exchange for you can do a Kin promo each time? Okay. All right. All right.
You can.
All right. Give us the best Miami story where you guys somebody got into some trouble. Give us the best Miami story from Any Given Sunday.
Okay. At that time, I didn't really go out. So I wasn't a part of all the frivolity that was going on. And, but one of the two best stories, my house that I had, Caproni's house, was actually Dan Marino's house.
Of course.
In real life. Mm-hmm. And to be in that house, it was a museum for I couldn't believe how many trophies, his career was all out there. What a great career that he had.
The trophy that was missing.
The other story that everybody always wants to know about, of course, is about the supposed scrap between Jamie Foxx and LL Cool J on the sideline. That's what you're trying to get to.
No, I wasn't trying to get to anything. I was not leading you anywhere.
All I know is it happened 45 seconds after I left.
What can you tell us about the fight, though?
I can't tell you anything because I wasn't there. Maybe I started it.
All right. That's not giving up the good stuff, though. I'll give you 15 seconds of Ken, and then I'm going right back to it.
All right. Well, Lauren Holly thwacked me across the face, and that was real.
Oh, that was real.
That girl.
That was real.
Yeah, that girl has got some gumption. Yeah.
The Any Given Sunday, we are with Dennis Quaid. Again, Kin is in theaters tomorrow. Go ahead and tell us something. Why should people watch Kin?
Because it's a great story. It's also, I guess you could call it sci-fi and an action movie, but it's the story of this kid who finds this weapon, which is actually from an alien world, from aliens. And this kid feels alienated in a world. I have two sons, and my wife has died some years back. I had to raise both of them on my own. One turned out bad, and this is the day that he gets out of prison to come home. My younger son, I'm trying to protect and not become like his brother. But situations happen that send these two brothers off on and running from the bad guys, who is James Franco. And it's the story of the bond of how these two brothers really do become family.
Give us the Oliver Stone is weird story that we need to know from Any Given Sunday.
Oliver Stone is not weird. Oliver Stone is one of the great filmmakers of our time. He has his own point of view. He's one of the smartest men I've ever met in my life. I don't agree with a lot of things that his philosophy and his way of looking at the world a lot of times, but I find him fascinating every time.
Dennis Quaid with us on ESPN Radio. Again, the new film is Kin. It is in theaters tomorrow. Dennis, we appreciate you being on with us. Thank you, sir.
You bet. You guys have a good day down there.
Thank you, Dennis.
You too.
What happened?
I thought you asked to go during the interview, and then I was staring at you, and
I thought you were trying to angle another golf question. Personally,
I thought
no,
you were
I
trying
wasn't
to get
at
in
all.
there with another question.
No, I didn't ask to go. I mean, that's hard to do. Our mics were on. You would have heard if I had asked.
No,
to go.
you make the
oh,
gestures.
no, I didn't do that. No, I was rubbing my tummy. It hurts. I wasn't asking to go there. I'm sorry. I could see why you'd be confused, though, because that, it's kind of like a similar type thing I do. When I rub my tummy is also the signal I give to you when I have a question to ask a guest.
The thing that I don't understand, is that 4 minutes in, you thunder in because just golf gave you an opening. And you're like, tell me golf stories, which is only the worst sports radio in the world.
Well, if he admitted Lawrence Taylor was a cheater, it would have been great, but he refused to go there.
So you thunder in with that question. I'm not saying I did the best job, but at the end, I'm waiting for you to bail us out because I think you got another funny golf question.
Oh.
And instead, I go to you and you're just staring at me.
I'm sorry.
You don't fake it. You don't say anything. You just stare at me.
My tummy, I mean.
Don Le Batard. Man, I hope the future looks like whatever Elon Musk is imagining.
Imagining is the right word because he ain't doing anything. He's just thinking about it.
I don't think it's fair to say he's not doing anything.
What's he doing? I mean,
Stugotz.
Seriously, what does he produce, though?
Tesla?
Well, besides that, the ideas are great. The ideas are great. Great ideas. The execution.
I mean, of course, because they've never been done before.
Well, let's go.
Okay.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
This was the hardest category to trim down. We had to lose 3 Rosie Perez stories. We had to lose 2 William H. Macy stories. Best story told on the show in the last year. Do it.
And now the Suey nominees for Best Story Told on the Show. Tim Kirchin, Cinderella Birthday Party.
We had a 5th birthday party for my daughter for Cinderella. And Cinderella showed up, and I think she was 65 years old. And I think she was drunk. And she came down into our basement and put on the single worst performance in the history of kids' birthdays. And my mother, God bless her, looked at my father, God rest his soul, and said, Jeff, you have to save this party. And my father is the funniest man ever, got up and became Cinderella's assistant and saved the day because she was the worst Cinderella of all time. We were expecting Helen Hunt, and we got Helen Hayes. It was awful.
Richard Lewis's Larry David dinner story.
He calls me up and he says, let's go to dinner. And I go, what time? He goes, 4:01. I go, 4:01? I said, I just had a sandwich. He said, all right, then we were on it for 45 minutes. He says, 4:18, 5:11, 6:12. I went, what, an airport controller on acid? What the hell is going on with you? He's a very wealthy man. I make a good living. I've been working my whole life, but he doesn't have to treat me. Screw him. So I go to this fancy restaurant in Beverly Hills. I get there an hour early. We're supposed to meet at 5:56 for dinner. Okay. I go to the maitre d'. I go, here's my credit card. Oh, Mr. Lewis, no, Mr. David always pays. I mean, no, screw Mr. David. I could pay for him. No, he'll yell at us. Let him yell at you babies.
Yeah.
I'm paying. So I give him my credit card. Larry comes an hour late. We were always broke for years when we started. And I said, Larry, why don't we just order what we used to do? I'd order chicken, you'd order beef, you'd get some soup, we'd split it. And he says, no, don't embarrass me. I go, what do you mean embarrass you? The chef will tell me what I want. The chef will tell you what you want? What are you, nutcase? How did you changed on me? What kind of... So the chef brings out 20 dishes on one of these Lazy Susans, and we don't even speak for more than 1 minute. And the phone rings, and he goes, oh, my God, I forgot. It's poker night at Steve Martin's house, and he leaves me.
You have to pay for it.
He leaves me with 20 entrees and a $1,200 bill.
Paul DeGelder getting attacked by a shark.
A bull shark came up from underneath me and grabbed me by the right hamstring and the right hand in the same bite. I've seen Discovery Channel, I've seen the crocodile hunter jab it in the eyeball, but I can't because my hand is in the shark's mouth as well. So I try with my left hand, but I can't reach it. I try to push it off by the nose, but that just pushes the teeth of the lower jaw further into my leg. And that's when it starts to get painful. And then I try to punch it in the head, but that didn't do anything except, I think, it off, because that's when it started to shake me. That's when it got really painful, and I can't even describe to you how excruciating this was. The teeth of a bull shark work as a saw when it shakes its head. So it's sawing the flesh out of my body It's drowning me at the same time. Towards the end of those 8 to 10 seconds, I had basically accepted that I was not going home that day. I realized that I'd lived so much already that if I was going to go, then that's cool. I'm good with that. And I stopped and I was ready to go, and then I stopped being thrashed around. And my wetsuit made me positively buoyant, so I popped to the surface. I saw the shark's tail splash water in my face, and I realized that I was still alive. And I had to get out of that water or the shark was going to come back and finish me off. So I started to swim, and I took my hand out of the water, but my hand wasn't there, and my arm ended at the end of my wetsuit. So my medical training kicked in. I thought, okay, well, I've got to keep that wound above my heart to stem the bleeding. So I keep that out of the water. I'm swimming with one hand, and I can't even feel my right leg. I don't know what's wrong with it. I just can't feel it. So I'm swimming with one hand and one leg, trying to get back to the safety boat while they're coming towards me. Then the guys in the boat later told me that I was swimming through a pool of my own blood. And when they got in close, they could actually taste it in the air. It was that thick.
J.K. Simmons, 2 grams.
Yes, I did 2 grams.
2 grams. 2 grams. Can I get one? I'd love to buy one right now. What would they cost?
Right now, they would cost $500,000. And I would come to your house with some balloons and a tutu.
Right?
Yeah.
How is your singing?
I was a trained singer. I was singing opera and, art songs and Brahms and Beethoven before that. But for the 2 grams, they wanted like incredibly macho-looking dudes such as myself, with facial hair preferably. But we had to sing in falsetto. Was the final ultimate embarrassment. So yeah, we'd go sing, happy birthday or whatever. Try and embarrass the people at their place of work, but what we mostly did was embarrass ourselves.
David Sampson on the Marlins killing Muhammad Ali.
June 3rd, 2016, I was minding my own business in the 7th inning when I got a call saying Muhammad Ali had died. And I knew Muhammad Ali, and I knew the person who called would absolutely have that information, and I was incredibly sad and surprised, and I said, I'm so sorry, and I hung up. And the first call I made at the time was to the person running in-game entertainment, and I said, listen, Muhammad Ali just died. Get it on the board with a picture of Muhammad Ali with his death date of June 3rd, 2016, so he can get a nice ovation. Because he had been there when Marlins Park opened. He's an icon, and I wanted to do our part in honoring his memory. All of a sudden, the game ends, and on the board, I'm sitting in the seat. On the big jumbotron in center field comes this glorious picture of a young Muhammad Ali announcing that he was dead. So meanwhile, my phone starts buzzing and ringing like crazy, and I don't know what's going on. And the only thing I remember reacting to was this text from Batard saying, you just killed Ali. So I finally find a way to look, and there's not one article, not one anything that Ali is dead. So my first call was to PJ Loyola, the PR guy. I said, PJ, come see me. I think we have a situation. I told him what was going on, and the only thing he said to me, I guess this is what happens when you have a master's degree, he said, you sure as heck better hope that he's dead, because if not, you better get to Louisville and take care of it yourself. So I said, thanks, PJ, that's really quite helpful. So I'm wondering, do I have to meet the media? Do I have to say, I'm sorry, I thought he was dead, but he's not dead, but he's dying. He could be dead. He's not going to be dead. All this is going on. Finally, somebody broke the news that he was dead. Once it comes out that he died, I then only had to start my work. I spoke to his family, and I spoke to his representatives that night because I was mortified. They had not released a statement. They hadn't done a thing, and they did forgive me. It took 2 days, but they forgave me. They did not want the news to come out that way. They understood what happened.
Are you guys absorbing this?
Yes.
The Ali family wanted to announce the death of Muhammad Ali the right way, and
David did it on a jumbotron.
Dan's awkward interaction with doctor during testicular ultrasound.
So yesterday, I have to have a testicular ultrasound. Bear of a man explains to me what I have to do. And what I have to do is I have to get on my back on a slab, throw my legs up in the air. Yeah, I need to cup my package with my left hand. Again, legs up in the air on my back. As I'm on this table, on my back, and it's being explained that the gel is very cold and it's going to take about 6 or 7 minutes, and there's going to be a wand, an ultrasound wand that is waved over, the ultrasounded areas. As all of this is being explained to me, I'm there on my back just shaking my head like, how has my life arrived here? I'm saying to myself as I'm doing this, it can't get worse than this. It simply can't. This is the worst thing to ever happen to me. He looks me straight in the eye for the first time. And I'm in this position before the wand and the gel, and here we go. We're about to get started. And he says, I am such a big fan of your TV and radio shows.
He say anything about me?
Yes, actually, which is how we ended up in the next 7 minutes of conversation, where at various points he's laughing because I'm yelling at him about all of this, right? At this point, I'm like, dude, like that's the time you choose to tell me that.
But you're laughing?
I am laughing. I'm also mystified. I'm vulnerable. I'm still scared.
It sounds like he had a ball.
Billy's terrible celebrity encounter.
I'm a crazy person, as you may or may not know, and I'm, concerned about everything. And last year, there was a hurricane that came in and knocked out power down here for a week for a lot of people. So I do not want to be in that situation. So I noticed about a month ago that there's this company that's been advertising on TV, like during the commercial breaks for our shows, where it's like this generator that immediately turns on when your power goes out. And I'm like, you know what? That seems like a good thing to have. And they're like, oh, free consultation and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what can it hurt to go to this website and sign up and have someone come and see how much it would cost? So I did that, and I gave 2 different phone numbers because I wanted to make sure that they would get here in time for hurricane season, because I do not want to be without power. It's so hot and gross when there's no power. Like, I need air conditioning more than anything. So finally, yesterday, the guy calls me, and he's like, hey, I'm calling to see about the thing. And I'm like, yeah, actually, you called my house yesterday, and we set up a thing, and they're going to come, in a couple weeks to give an estimate and walk us through whatever. So I think that's the end of the conversation, and I'm like, thanks, whatever. I'm getting ready to hang up. And it's a call from Wisconsin, which is a miracle I even picked up, because I never pick up calls I don't know.
Does this story come complete with an ending?
We'll get there. So the guy, when I'm about to hang up, goes, let me ask you something. Your voice sounds familiar. Are you on the Le Batard show? And I'm like, wow, I am. Yeah. It's so cool that, you recognize me. And I'm like, your advertising actually works, because your advertising on the show is what got me to call the company. And then he's like, oh, wow, yeah. And then
okay, so it doesn't come with an ending.
There's no real ending.
Mina,
That's
can you tell me what your thoughts are? $2 go to the penalty box.
Wow.
Another $2.
This show ain't free. Time for some ads.
2 more minutes?
Just because I had to listen to it again. How are you so bad at this?
Don Le Batard.
I mean, just an asinine thing that Disney pays us for. Just asinine.
Thank you.
Stugotz.
It's a clerical error, man. This is arriving at an accountant's desk in Disney, and wait a minute, how much is this costing us? Why?
More, please.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Stugotz, help me out. We have 5 minutes left of the show. Let's just make a mess here. Let's update the polls, and I need a snort of what is being said is the greatest category in the history of the Sueys. Stugotz dismissals at the end of this week is our best picture category. I need a little hit. I need a bump. Give me a little bump of a Stugotz dismissal that we've got this to get to tomorrow.
Stugotz dismisses Andy Reid.
Go ahead, Andy Reid. I dare you to go 14-2 and allow Alex Smith to leave Arrowhead Stadium to leave Kansas City. Go ahead, I dare you. Because of Patrick Mahomes. Because you think you could turn Patrick Mahomes into something that Alex Smith is not. Alex Smith is a very good quarterback. The audacity, first off, to do this to Alex Smith, who's been very good and loyal to Andy Reid and won him a lot of football games, to dangle Patrick Mahomes out there because Andy Reid thinks he's some sort of quarterback whisperer, which he is not, by the way. He is not, because if he was, Alex Smith would be better than he's been the last few years. So I
wow.
dare.
I mean, that's a record for country.
It's on Andy Reid.
That is
the only reason Alex Smith is not better than Andy Reid.
That's a world record for Stugotz not paying attention to any of the things he said the sentence before. That's going to be a good category. Woo! that.
I thought it was a down year for dismissals, but the guy told
they
me
got
no.
some good ones back there. Also, Mike, before we get to the polls, just real quick, Mellencamp, is he one of the Infinity Stones in this? You're saying they're not rockers? What are they? They're just, yeah, okay. All right. They're not rockers. Yeah. Mellencamp, is he one of the Infinity Stones? Yes or no?
No. Mellencamp's not the soundtrack to your trip to the dentist.
No.
He rocks too hard. His middle name is Cougar.
All right. Brian Adams is, though. How many do we have? We got Bolton. We got Richard Marks. We got Brian Adams.
Adams, yeah.
Did you put Peter Cetera in there or no?
He should be.
Nah, man.
Mike.
How about
As a
Air
solo
Supply?
guy,
Air Supply.
280s,
Wow.
and they could rock a little bit. That's a full band. Cetera's in if I can bring Chicago in.
Done.
No, you're not done.
Stuart
Not
Stone.
done. Not done.
Rod Stewart Stone.
No,
but he was with Faces.
He's late. He's late. No, he goes back too far.
Before ever young.
Let's update the polls, please. Let's update the polls at Le Batard Show.
The Twitter poll is brought to you by Discover Card. Discover thinks annual fees are ridiculous. If you do too, find out more at discover.com. Are you surprised that in the air tonight is something that inspires athletes? Guys.
Was Phil Collins in our 80s rocker thing? Was he in here?
He probably should be. I think 80s, though, was more Genesis. I don't think Phil was a solo act then. Yeah,
80s more Genesis, and Phil really had his hits in the 80s.
Guys, never happened before.
What are you talking about?
This has never, ever, ever happened before.
What?
50% of the audience said yes.
No.
And 50% of the audience said no.
Oh my! Are you kidding me?
It happened.
What? It didn't happen.
It happened. 50-50.
We got to stop the polls right now.
What do we do?
We just stopped doing polls because it's the first time it's ever happened. That's it. It's scientific.
I heard hear what he said, and I can't believe the same amount.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, 50-50.
I mean, that's it. We got to stop doing polls. We got to stop people asking questions. We've reached the end of the internet. That's it. It's over.
I'm not coming tomorrow.
We don't have to work tomorrow.
All right, good. Oh, wow.
No, it's all over.
Excellent.
Except for this one guy who's been holding for the better part of 2.5 hours, waiting to put the punctuation on this radio program. Fake Christopher Walken. You're on ESPN Radio.
2 mice forms a bucket of cream. First mouse, he drowns. He turns that cream into butter. The second mouse, he moves, he fights. He climbs out of the butter.
You guys are the worst, man.
My watch.
The worst. I thought the worst impersonation ever done around here was Stugotz's fake Kirk Douglas.
I don't have one.
I thought that the worst impersonation ever done in the history of this radio program was Stugotz summoning the father of Michael Douglas, royalty from an old-fashioned time. I thought this was the worst, but it was not the worst. The worst was everyone else just hammering me on this radio program as we continue to take calls, and we should not ever take another call again. Do I need to stop taking calls forevermore, Stugotz? Do I need to ban calls forevermore?
Yes. You have gone to that well one too many times.
Okay.
What's the big to do about Weinstein?
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPN News.